Do not lose your next client because of a bad onboarding process. Let's talk about it. Sales professionals, your job is to sell your product or service. You build enough value, you identify a pain, you present a solution, you get your customer, who was once a prospect, to say yes. That's not the end of the sales process. In many industries, there's an onboarding process that takes place after the sale is agreed upon. Think of business services, think of installation services, think of a product that has to be delivered after your contract is signed. During this really sensitive period, your job as a salesperson isn't over. If you fully trust your prospect to your customer service team, your onboarding team, whoever is that next step in the customer's journey, that is doing you a major injustice, because as you transfer your client to that next step of the sales process, you're in a window which is typically called a buyback period, or a window where it's a chargeback period. 30 days, 90 days, a year, etc. Whatever your company or service offering is. And what I mean by that, that's the period where after you sign a deal, if your customer calls back and cancels the deal, returns the deal, says, I no longer need this product or service, you get a chargeback on your commission dollars. Hence, we're not catapulting our commissions there. So during that incredible sensitive period, your job as a salesperson isn't over. You see, you can lose a customer when an issue arises during that onboarding process. And typically when an issue arises during that onboarding process, one of two things happens. Your customer is going to completely walk away from the deal. They're going to say, this isn't fun. This isn't what I expected. This isn't what was sold to me. And they walk away from that deal. And if you haven't communicated with your prospect or your new customer during this time period, when you call them back to ensure that they're content and happy with your service, you're already too late. The other thing that could happen, and this is what we want to have happen, you want your prospect, who's now your customer, to call you with these issues. And here's how you set that up. Number one, you want to have a strong, solid sales appointment where you develop an incredible relationship with your prospect, so much so that they're comfortable calling you with an issue. Now, let's say you've done a great sales appointment and you have a customer who knows their salesperson is like, this person had my best interest. However, your company on the back end isn't delivering the agreed upon metrics. When that person calls you and says, I have a problem, listen up closely. Every sales industry, everything you're going to sell, there's always going to be a hiccup at some point in time or the other. You're always going to face customer issues, product issues, service issues. How you handle these complaints is going to impact your ability to retain your customer. So the first thing, when you have a customer call you with an issue, acknowledge and empathize with your customer. Acknowledge the issue and come from a position of empathy, not sympathy. You want to put yourself in your customer's position. You want to let your customer know you are completely understanding the issue they're having. You want to empathize and relate to this customer issue. You don't want to respond and say things like, really? You're the only person that's ever experienced that. That's odd. That never happens. Don't make your customer feel silly for having these issues come up. You want to be there to ensure them that you will take care of them this part of the journey. Now, when your customer calls, we've acknowledged, we stress the importance of having empathy, and you want to stress the importance that you are going to resolve the issue for them personally. Can't stress this enough. You are the person that made the deal. You are the person that sold the product. Now it is your job to deliver and get on the phone with your customer service department, get on the phone with your implementation team, get on the phone with your installation team, and ensure they deliver what you had sold your prospect. So by simply telling your customer, I acknowledge the issue, I can't stress to you enough that how important this is to me, I understand where you're coming from, I'm personally going to see this all the way to the finish line. That's a great resolution, and you should do that. But a problem falls after that. Sometimes your customer service team drops the ball again. Your implementation team drops the ball again. Maybe there is a lack of communication that takes place. This problem here now causes your customer to question you and question your company. You can easily lose your deal right here. Here's the one mistake sales professionals make. They under communicate the process and over promise the results. Let me repeat that. They under communicate the process and over promise the results. What I mean by that is this. If you know the issue your customer is facing is going to get solved and resolved, let your customer know that. Don't make false promises. Don't give timelines or deadlines that aren't realistic or can't be met. On the opposite side of that, don't under communicate during this sensitive time. If you have to just call your customer and say, hey, I don't have a concrete detail for you today. However, I just want to let you know, this is important to me. I assure you that I'm on top of it. I assure you that my team is looking at this. It'll be of the utmost importance. I'll get in contact with you in a few days if we haven't heard anything. And follow up that process. By you as the salesperson communicating with your prospect during this time, you eliminate all the areas of concern your prospect has. Typically, they will stay with you for the long haul because you've built a great rapport, you sold them a great product, you acknowledge the concerns or complaints in the beginning, and then you're over communicating with them during this whole process. Even if you don't have concrete answers, you can still communicate that with your customer. And I share this. We all have experience with large corporations or large customer service projects where sometimes there's 4, 5, 6 different people getting involved to make a decision. Now, your prospect doesn't need to know all this. However, what they do need to know is that you're on top of it and you're not going to drop the ball on that. So don't lose your next sale because of a bad onboarding process. That is the opposite of catapulting your commissions. So remember, acknowledge the issue, empathize with your prospect, let them know you're going to solve this problem for them personally. If it hasn't happened immediately, don't overpromise the results and don't under-communicate with your prospect. Over-communicate the steps that's taking place, under-promise the timeline or deadline if you're not certain. You want to make your prospect feel comfortable. Remember, this is that period where a customer can cancel your deal and you get a chargeback. So protect yourself from that. Remember, you are the face of the company at this point in time. In a year from now, they might have a customer service rep assigned to them. But at this point in time, you are that customer service rep. So own it, ensure your deal lands home, and catapult those commissions. That's what I got for you guys this week. I'm Anthony Garcia. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next week.